name's Elizabeth Rimmer and I'm the founder for Entrepreneurs, and tonight on our Wednesday live I'm going to be interviewing Shelley Folkes, and Shelley is a mum, an A&E nurse, and she has also an aesthetics business. So we're going to see if we can get her on the call. I feel a bit like the anxiety. Right. Hello! I can hear you. That's a good start. I can't see you, however.
Okay.
I've got a little round circle. Hey, there we go. Right. Yay! We've done it! Amazing. Okay, this is really exciting. How are you? You alright?
I'm good, thanks. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. So I was just telling everybody that you're a bit about you. Maybe you should do that as well. Do you want to just tell us who you are, what you do in a nutshell?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Shelley. I'm a nurse who set up a business in aesthetics about 4.5 years ago. Coming from a background of NHS nursing, mostly in A&E. And yeah, I've got 2 children and my partner's got a son as well, so we've got a very busy household.
Mm-hmm.
So lots going on.
Great. Okay, so what I've got is a few questions that I've kind of prepared, and we're just going to run through those and just anything basically you want to add as we go along. And if anyone's got any questions or comments, please go far ahead. If you're going to do that, you need to use the Ecamm app and put your name in and all of that kind of stuff. Okay, so the purpose, Shelley, is just to really kind of start introducing, I guess, real people, real nurses that are already doing something, and kind of discover a little bit about the whys and the whats and the hows kind of thing behind that. So a good starting point for that then, I guess, would be for me to ask you what was it about aesthetics that attracted you to that? Why aesthetics?
So I guess there was an element of practicality about it. It was something that I could do with my nursing qualification.
Yeah.
I didn't want to leave that behind. I'd worked hard and I was proud to be a nurse, and I didn't want to just walk away from that completely and just ditch it. So I was looking for something that would complement nursing, meant that I could take my nursing forward but just in a different direction.
Yeah.
I looked at a few other things first, but there was, I think, moving away sometimes from NHS nursing or standard nursing, there's a lot of mountains, there's a lot red tape to go through, getting things, insurance and stuff, and this seemed to be a bit more of a structured pathway into an external business. It also complemented my vanity.
Yeah.
I thought
it's all resonating.
I can get myself some Botox here.
Yeah.
Don't deny it, you all thought it.
Hell yeah, I'm not denying it.
So I had a natural interest in sort of skincare and makeup and beauty, so it kind of felt that it matched my natural interest as well.
Can you remember, you mentioned that there was other things that you thought about, and this might be putting you on the spot, but can you remember specifically what things you thought about? Because I'm interested in that issue around difficulties in getting insurance and that kind of thing.
Yeah. So I looked at, 2 things that I did properly look at was being a private nurse.
Okay.
Was just kind of a self-employed freelance nurse.
Hospital based, sorry to interrupt, hospital based or going into people's homes or whatever came along?
So probably more community based, I think I was looking at. Sorry, my daughter's calling me.
That's all right, don't worry.
Lola?
It's lockdown.
Come here. She needs a code for something.
Oh, I thought you were going to say she needs a cuddle.
No, she needs a code.
That's all right, don't worry. I can ramble if you need to go and sort her out.
Well, if I just say to you quickly that the 2 things that I was thinking about was being a private nurse, so kind of like I saw private midwives,
Yes.
and I thought, well, why can't I just do that as a nurse?
Right.
So, but when I approached the NMC and various things, it was a very frosty
Reception.
reception. And the other thing was setting up a nursing agency.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
That was, this was in my 20s, and I wasn't quite as tenacious then as I am now, and those blocks put me off.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Totally, yeah.
So, I don't know if you want to just talk about that for a minute while I just sort
Yeah, no, I'm good. You can go and do whatever you want and come back when you're ready.
2 seconds.
No worries. So, Shelley bringing that up is actually something that is definitely an issue that needs some work, and on my kind of to-do list for when I've got entrepreneurs where I want it to be. But I'm definitely aware that there are issues around insurance with some aspects of private nursing which don't seem to hold, are ridiculous. So I was just saying, it is actually something that I would like to have as one of the kind of projects of entrepreneurs a bit later on when I've got things a bit more set up. But I'm aware that that transition into perhaps where, and for example, I've been told that it isn't possible just to kind of register with Bupa as an epilepsy nurse or whatever, in the way that a physio can do and a dietitian can do. And obviously a doctor can do, but it's like, where? Hold on, where's the logic in that? Isn't this something that's just around just because it's never been done before? It's like, well, nurses never used to prescribe, but they do. There's some things, aren't there, that are just because that's what they are, when there's actually no great logic for them.
Yeah, so, and that's the exception I got was, what did you want? Well, why would you want to do that?
Yeah.
Well, what do you mean? Why wouldn't I want to do that? I want to work for myself. I want to freelance. And it was very much like I was asking for them to chop, their own heads off. It was such a shock to even be asking that question. They were like, whoa, like strokey beard meeting. Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know about
I can't do that.
And it was very much, like I said, I was in my mid-20s, and I just went, oh, okay. Well, that's not doable. But, you're right. You talk about doctors. They can set up a private medical practice.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting because I do think that because aesthetics, which is not a good thing, is as unregulated as it is in the UK, and because of the way it kind of just sort of blew up overnight, that allowed nurses to get in there and as you know, Shelley, we've got some like incredible nurses at the top of the game that are highly respected in the industry. But if you look at it, actually, that probably wouldn't have happened if aesthetics had been well regulated from the start. And do you know what I'm saying? It would have been locked down. And
the silver lining to a big issue, but I think you're absolutely right. It was something that I could slip into seamlessly as a nurse. There was no resistance there at all. But I suspect to nurses perhaps going back further, that they probably did meet resistance. There probably was that element, even if it wasn't an official resistance, but perhaps like a cultural. Sometimes doctors don't like nurses coming in and doing things, or perhaps you're stepping on the toes of some other profession. When people evolve, there's probably always a bit of resistance, isn't there, moving forward?
And I the medical world is kind of well renowned for being very slow in progression. I can remember on the wards, I don't know if it still happens, that we would do kneel by mouth for 24 hours before surgery, when there was stacks of evidence back then that it was unnecessary. I don't know if that's still the case, but I know that was one of those, well, we just do it because we do it.
Just do it.
Okay, so moving on, what kind of training, what did you have to do sort of training wise, and how did you go about kind of getting your first clients? Were you sort of practicing on family and stuff like that, or how did that work?
So I started getting the idea of doing aesthetics, and then a friend of mine said that she was interested as well. So it was kind of a joint venture to begin with. I think she kind of pushed me a bit, and I pushed her, and we were like, right, let's just do this. And I did a 4-day, so it's all private courses that you pay for.
Yeah.
And mine was a 4-day course, which actually these days is pretty extensive for aesthetics training. So it was pretty comprehensive. Actually, it was up in Manchester, and yeah, 4 days. And as you know, that's your kind of technical, clinical, literally how to inject training. And I came out, and I remember being told, I got this amazing feedback. You're such a great injector, Shelley, and I was really pumped. And I was like, I'm going to smash this. I had so many compliments, and I came out and I went, ta-da! And there was nobody there. Hello. what they didn't tell you was you've actually got to get some clients in to get your amazing injection technique on. So that was the easy bit. That was dead easy. And then I hit the steep learning curve of actually getting people through the door. So yeah, I think most people start locally. They start with friends, and it took me a good few years to really start looking at it as a viable business option. I was just swimming out to sea for a time.
That sounds familiar too.
Yeah, and I hear many others sort of say the same thing, is that, I just thought I'll set up a business and they will come.
Yeah.
Apparently.
No, it doesn't quite work like that, does it? Obviously you did the training so you could afford to do it. Juggling your kind of family and all of the rest of it. Was it a, sort of terrific burden financially, or was it something, how did you kind of manage that side of it?
So my dad lent me the money to do my training, which was obviously massively helpful. I don't think I'd have been able to do it if he hadn't have done that. Again, the prices have come down significantly. I mean, I trained in 2016, and it's already, there's much more opportunity to train, which arguably a great thing, but just from a point that it's very accessible now. The courses are much shorter, so I dropped a good few thousand into it right from the off. And I think that looking back, outside of the marketing and actually bringing clients into the business, another thing that I didn't understand was the financial aspect of it. Because you've got other expenses on top of that you have to have. Even if you only have one client, you have to have insurance.
Right.
So I basically carried on working around it, and still do, actually. Even 4 years later, I still do. Although I've grown, particularly the last 2 years, it's come on in leaps and bounds and made these huge jumps. But of course, as you all know, every time you make a jump in business, you go up. So every time you upgrade your premises, or every time if you're seeing 10 people in a day as opposed to 2 that you were seeing last year, then your stock goes up. The products that you're using, the costs go up. Your pharmacy bill goes up
weirdly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, I've supported it. I mean, the idea when I went into it really was to give myself more time, and I've probably got less.
Right. Okay.
But it's a slow burner, and I think it's not even just aesthetics. I think that's every business.
Yes.
You can't. I was naive. I think everybody that goes into business is a bit naive. It takes years. It takes years and years and years before you go, oh my God, I'm doing this, and I'm making money, and I'm and this is it. This is my job now. I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, I agree.